Hi, I'm Kathleen Sabo of New Mexico Ethics Watch, and this is Ethics Now, conversations about ethics in everyday life. We're broadcasting to you from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and our guest today is Jesus Zamora. He's the owner of Sister Bar here in Albuquerque and the part owner of Prismatic Coffee and Sparky's Subaru Specialist, also here in Albuquerque. He is the father of a 2-year-old and has another child due in May. Welcome, Jesus.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time out of probably what's still a busy schedule with a 2-year-old and one coming on the way. So thanks for taking the time and tell us, your 2-year-old, boy or girl?
Little boy, his name is River, and he's actually turning 2 on April 30th. So this Thursday.
Oh, wow. And then
Yeah.
do you know, are you having a boy or a girl coming up? I know I'm getting personal here, but I'm just
No, that's
curious.
fine. I love talking about this stuff. We have a little girl coming in May. May 13th is the due date, so she'll be here when she wants to be, somewhere around then.
Yeah, well, good luck to you
Yeah.
and baby brother and mom and everybody coming into
Awesome.
this world at this time.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. Well, listen, I wanted to talk to you, and we wanted to have you on because you've got a popular place here in Albuquerque, Sister Bar. And not only do you feed people or provide beverages, you provide community for them as well. And so, I was looking back, I had to double check. It looks like it was mid-March when we first started to get public health orders
Right.
coming from the health department and the governor. And so walk us through a little bit what that progression was like for you and what that was like in those early days, please.
I feel like it progressed really quickly, honestly. I kind of recall it taking maybe like 5 days. I believe we started getting some word, that other cities, that were a little further along and their outbreak were kind of closing off, and we could kind of see it coming as our curve kind of hit later in New Mexico. And we ended up making the decision to close, I'd say, funny enough, about a half a day before the governor ordered it, just because we kind of felt it was the right thing to do. We were operating under, the state ordered restrictions. And, it just kind of fell off. It didn't even really seem worthwhile. It still felt like, we didn't really know what we were dealing with, and that we were, potentially putting people at risk. And at that point, the fact that everything was so up in the air, there wasn't a lot of information or data regarding the virus. I just thought it was in our best interest to just kind of close down and see what happens. But sure enough, on March 18th, I believe it was a Wednesday, the governor, that afternoon kind of put out an order closing down, what she considered non-essential businesses, and we fell in that category. So much of what I do actually revolves around large groups of people, gathering.
Yeah, well, let's step back a minute because there are people who are listening who probably don't know of Sister Bar. And so describe that business to us for a little bit, please.
So Sister Bar is located kind of in the heart of downtown Albuquerque. We opened on October 11th, 2012. And, we've been doing live music and different types of community-based events, from like fundraisers and local pop-ups, I'd say in excess of like 250 events a year for, going strong. That kind of volume for at least the last 5 years. It took us a little while to get our footing and figure out what we were doing. But I started that business with 2 other partners. And then after about 2 years, I became the one who was a little more well-suited for the business. Ended up taking over, 100% on that, and kind of running with my vision. We added food at that point. That one of the other big things I think about, like my goal, or like our underlying goal, is to kind of like love the community and serve the community, and that involved providing food service, like quality food service. So we're like one of the only places in downtown Albuquerque that you can get a nice vegetarian meal at 1 a.m. on a Monday. And I felt like, any city really needs that, so we might as well do it.
So you're a bar, you serve food.
Correct.
You have tables as well that people sat at and ate?
We do. We have seating for like 160
Oh, wow.
people. We have a capacity of 360, and we serve food from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. every day, with the exception of Sunday. You know, we have to close a little early on Sunday due
Right.
to the liquor license laws and whatnot here.
Well, we're going to be talking about ethics and acting ethically. So I thought it'd be good just to dig into that a little bit with you, so the listeners know from where you're coming when you're talking about it. And you told me ahead of time that you studied ethics and you really like talking about it. So I'm sure it's something you thought about. So in this context of owning and operating a bar that serves food and has community events, what does acting ethically mean to you?
It means everything. Acting ethically governs everything I do, and to me, when I think of ethics, I think of you know, being conscientious of other people's positions, you know, other people's feelings, state of mind, operating, you know, with like some kind of honor and fairness. And it's super important to me. It actually gives meaning to my whole life. I don't think I would do what I was doing unless I operated this business with a code, you know, an ethical code that kind of aligns with what I believe in, what I believe is fair, what I believe is right. Um, Yet still being really open-minded and trying to learn the whole time too. I think that's a big part of it about being ethical is taking the time to listen, you know. And like I said, our overarching, you know, mantra at Sister Bar is really just servitude, and we try to serve our community to the best of our ability, and you know, and acknowledge any kind of missteps that we've made and try to learn from that, and continue to grow and set an example that you can be a viable business and still operate under this kind of ethical pretense. Because I feel like a lot of people feel like they have to abandon that in order to be like financially successful or something. You know, it seems to be the case in corporate America, that's for sure. And I don't believe that. I think that there's a happy balance to be found. It just takes a lot more effort. But you know.
Well, to your credit, and you know, each time I have someone on an episode, we talk about this with people because we want to make sure the listeners understand from where someone's coming. And you know, some of the things that I'm starting to hear from people over and over again are about integrity and honor, and there's always a concern for the other. It's not just
Yeah.
yourself. It's always something about the community of people that we live in. Uh, but it sounds like you had made some ethical decisions even prior to getting orders. So tell me about that. What went into that thinking for you?
You know, I started thinking about the stress and the anxiety that it was causing, you know, um, amongst my employees, you know, amongst different people of the community. And it was a big gamut. It was a big gamut of feelings. You know, there was some people that weren't really concerned at all, and there were other people that were like really scared, you know, and afraid, and you know, and then not to mention, you know, I have a pregnant wife at home,
Right.
and we're trying to figure out how to, you know, keep ourselves healthy and get through this, you know, period of time, you know, in a nice, healthy way, and make sure that the baby and her, you know, are feeling good. So that was a concern. But like I said, I think just the nature of my business too, the fact that we're such a big business, you know, as far as a bar and a restaurant goes, that many seats, you know, that size of building, that we specialize in large gatherings, it really just, it seemed to make sense, you know, and it kind of took the weight off of everyone else having to make that decision every day,
Mhm.
like my employees, you know. It kind of gave them a little bit of peace of mind. And I, you know, obviously I encouraged everybody to file for unemployment and did my best to kind of help everybody navigate that system. It's still been a little tricky, you know.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but you know, one thing I'm curious about. So you serve food, so you had food
Mhm.
on hand, you had ingredients. What were some of the ethical considerations about that food that you have? Are you still able to keep it? Was it frozen? Did you have to give it away? What went through your mind?
Most of it was given away, you know. one of the things I'm really proud of is that we make I'd say like 90% of everything is made from scratch.
Mm.
And we have a really small kitchen and small like refrigeration space. So we have food coming in about 3 times a week. So it's always pretty fresh, which, luckily we didn't have to throw that much stuff away. We gave away stuff to our employees, regulars that came in. We kind of fed people for free for a couple of days there, just to kind of blow through it and make sure that it didn't get wasted. Just kind of made like little packs for employees to take home. I took some stuff home. We ate burritos here for a week, I'd say, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't that bad. Surprisingly, we didn't have to throw away a lot of stuff, which was really cool.
Well, and just to share with you, I other friends who own eating establishments or coffee shops, and I saw, videos of them on Facebook and other platforms, delivering their food to people in need. So that was nice. It sounds like a lot of places did that with the things on hand that they now could not use.
I saw that too. Yeah, I thought that was really a great thing. It's kind of wild. I've read a lot about just all the food that's gone to waste, in light of this situation.
Yeah, just having
especially
you
right?
wish there was some centralized mechanism to connect up the people who need it with the people who are dumping milk and whatever else they're having to do. I know.
Yeah, I think everything's so governed by a fear of liability. It really throws a kink in everything.
Well, and you understand. I mean, that's a somewhat real fear.
It is. It's a very real fear, unfortunately. Yeah.
On all sides. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your employees a bit because because I know people are having issues with a couple of things. First of all, what's the ethical thing to do? Do you keep people on? Do you pay them? Do you have to let them go because you're operating on a thin margin? And then, are they going to come back to you? Can you talk to them about when they might come back? Talk to us about the employees and what you had to go through with that, please.
I kind of just tried to keep them informed as to what my thought process was. Just kind of send out little updates, periodically, especially in the beginning. I definitely haven't sent out much, communication as of late, other than that, like we're doing okay. And that, I intend to reopen, and that luckily we're going to be in a position where I believe we're going to be able to reopen and rehire everyone. I did kind of mention that, I was uncertain as to like what kind of business volume we could expect. So maybe hours would be cut a little bit, but I feel really blessed. I don't know. I have a great staff. They're amazing. A great team that I work with. And a lot of them have been there since the beginning. We have a huge retention. It's amazing. I have, I'd say over half the staff has been there in excess of 5 years.
Wow. And how large is your staff?
We are at 49 people currently.
It's a lot
at
of
Sister
people.
Bar. Yeah. Yeah. And, so I kind of tried to let everybody know where we're at, where we're going. I figure, the more information, the better. It kind of helps people to feel like at least there's a game plan.
Yeah.
Granted, we're all kind of making it up as we go. But
and I think we all are right now.
Yeah.
So as much or as little as you want to talk about this, did you, I think we've acknowledged this, you filed under the Paycheck Protection program, and people are having some big time issues with that. You want to talk a little bit about your experience with that? Were you able to get those funds or?
Not yet. I'm kind of actually, now I'm kind of happy that I haven't got them yet, and I'll explain why. I know it's kind of odd, but it was definitely kind of a scramble. I applied with 3 different lenders, including the bank that I bank with for the bar, just because I kind of felt like, it would increase my chances of getting it. I didn't though. I applied, I think it became available on a Friday in early April, and I applied Monday morning. It took me a couple of days to get all of my paperwork in line, and still didn't make the cut, with those lenders. But this second time around, it looks like I am going to, receive a loan, which is going to help out greatly. But it's a little tricky, because right now everybody's kind of receiving like a pretty, what I would say, like it's like some kind of like a COVID benefit, bonus to their unemployment.
Wow. Yeah.
So a lot of my employees are making more on unemployment currently than they would be if they were working hourly.
And
with the exception of a lot of the bartenders, people that are in tipped positions
right,
definitely were
right,
probably doing a little better.
right. But under Paycheck Protection, you have to use a certain percentage for paychecks. Is that accurate? Whatever you get?
That is correct. Yeah. So it has to be a minimum of 75% needs to go towards your payroll of the loan. And it has to be used, from my understanding, within a certain amount of time. But I also kind of feel like, I'm going to just give my employees the option if they would prefer to, or they feel like they need to quarantine longer and stay home. I'm going to do my best to kind of just hold their position.
That's
And if
nice.
we can operate, on a skeleton crew with the people that do want to get back to work. But yeah, basically, I'm just going to call everybody up one by one, and I know it's going to take a while, but and give them the option and kind of see what they're comfortable with, what they want to do. Because yeah, it's still unclear. And, if the whole loan isn't forgiven, I'll just figure it out then. I definitely am a big believer in just dealing with the problem that's right in front of you, as opposed to worrying too much. But yeah, so it's been a scramble. I feel like a lot of the institutions have been overwhelmed.
Mhm.
I feel like the laws, or at least the regulations revolving around that, were so vague that it left opportunity for a lot of people to take advantage of. Actually, just it came to light. I've been reading in the news the last few days that I think like over 300 publicly traded companies applied for those loans and qualified. And some of these companies, are worth like billions of dollars, and they're getting these loans that were meant for like, small businesses.
Right.
If you're a publicly traded company, you shouldn't be able to qualify, right? But the other thing too, I mean, that I feel like, was really upsetting to read, is that like a lot of these financial institutions, like they cited Bank of America actually as one of them, as giving people like preferential treatment.
Yes.
So, so
Concierge
essentially
service.
they looked at these applications from these bigger accounts. Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, great. It's just sadly isn't surprising, but definitely disheartening. If anything, ethics and stuff need to be taught more. It's more important now than ever, especially in this type of economic system that we live in.
Well, and just personally, I guess maybe I'm not surprised, but I was hopeful after the snafus that occurred and the unethical behavior during, some of the bailout way back in the last decade, that we
Right.
didn't see as much of that. And I thought there were safeguards too, but I'm reading the same things you are. But I am heartened to see that some of these larger companies and universities even are returning
Right.
some of the large
Right.
amounts that they got, and that's to their credit. That's to their credit.
I agree. I think everybody was probably in a panic,
Yep. Yeah.
and I think when that's the thing, so many things play into this, but when people were afraid and and panicking, they just kind of have a tendency to think about themselves,
Yeah.
which
Well,
kind of,
and right, and forget that element of the other and community
right.
that we spoke about as being a necessary part of ethical behavior. Well, let's look to the future a bit. None of us have a crystal ball, but I'm curious what you're thinking or hearing about timing, about reopening possibilities, and then we can talk about the ethical considerations that'll come up. So, what are you hearing?
Um, I am hearing, and what I think is that the governor will probably allow us to reopen come June 1st
Okay.
under some type of restriction. Uh, I don't think we'll be allowed to do concerts for quite some time.
Mm.
I'm not really sure about that one. Definitely just going to take that on a month by month basis. But right now, I'm kind of pushing as many shows out as far as I can with rescheduling. A lot of people have wanted to reschedule and then have had to reschedule again
Right.
as things develop and progress. It's kind of looking though, like honestly, like maybe the winter, and that's just a maybe. We'd be able to
For
kind of have a
concert.
concert again,
Yeah.
and that's okay with me. All of my focus right now has been just kind of trying to streamline our operation, kind of take another look. It's kind of been an opportunity to take a fresh look at everything, fresh look at our menu and our staffing, and really just try to run on food and drink for the time being, and
And you're
and
and
kind of
you're
put
doing okay
the
with
show
that.
business on the back burner. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Right. So what are some of the ethical considerations as you think about reopening?
It's hard, I really feel like a lot of us are kind of put in this position where, our financial well-being, our ability to kind of just maintain our bills, is weighing in and out with, what's right, and doing what's right. So I'm gonna try to, basically just make week to week decisions. I could definitely see us opening at a kind of limited capacity, see how it feels. I'm a big proponent of like intuition and vibes, to kind of help govern those unknown situations. It's like you use all the scientific data and all the facts at your, disposal, but then that last little component missing is kind of your intuition and how it feels.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of how we're going to take it. I'm definitely, like I said, I'm going to touch base with all my employees and make sure that they feel comfortable. We're probably going to uphold slightly more stringent, like, sanitation efforts. We have a bunch of pinball machines down at the bar, which, seem like they would be, they'd be the perfect place to spread, to
Right.
spread viruses through a pinball machine, which is sad because I love pinball. But, so we'll probably just do that. I've been trying to read a lot, though. I've been just trying to educate myself on all types of different positions on the virus. And I think it's going to be okay, though, honestly. I think that things will slowly, kind of fall back in. I think that it's really hard for people to abstract this situation and treat it seriously when it's not impacting them directly. So if anything, we'll probably kind of hold our capacity and, yeah, and just up communication with the customers, that are in there. But that's
Do you,
kind of all I see us doing.
do you feel like you're getting enough information from either the federal government or the state or whatever source to allow you to make, scientifically based decisions with your intuition?
Yeah, I'd say
Good.
I'm getting too much information. It's
Mm.
almost an overload, which makes it even worse. I mean, I feel like it's a lot of information. Some of it is conflicting. A lot of people adhering to certain people's titles
Mhm.
for some kind of validity, but I guess that's all we have, right? Um, so I've just been trying to take in the largest sample of what I would say are like, valid scientific based, information and make my own decision really. Because I kind of see a little bit of both. A lot of our information is filtered, and I always have a tendency to kind of question the source and what their motive is. And I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but some of it's pretty wild. A lot of the information. If anything, I've had I've been inclined to kind of unplug lately.
Mhm.
Like, I've just been kind of keeping it simple and just trying to enjoy my time here at home with my family and just kind of, still enjoy these moments and this time away from work.
Well, there is a balance point. I went through it myself. At some point, I said, I think I know enough for the moment, and
Yeah,
I'm going to tune out and tune in, tune out there, and tune in here as well as with
absolutely.
my family. And so, I think I've been through that cycle twice now, where I've done that,
Yeah,
so, and I anticipate that happening again.
right. Yeah, the everyone's feelings. I feel like everyone's feelings just kind of there's a little bit more of a roller coaster effect going on right now. I think for everyone, you know. Um, but yeah, I'm not too worried. I'm not too worried about anything. Funny enough.
No, I appreciate that viewpoint. So I'm hoping that as things go on, we might get an opportunity to reconnect with you down the line if you'd be willing.
Yeah, I think it kind of would be fun. It'd be fun to kind of see, where we're at, in a couple of months or something.
Be good. I hope we're at a place where people are healthy and happier and able to connect to some degree. Well, is there anything else you'd like our listeners to know, or anything else you'd like to say to people today, Jose? Before we, excuse me, I
Uh,
apologize.
no, no worries. Um, Not necessarily. I think the one thing that I think I'm missing the most, and I think a lot of people that love Sister are missing, is live music.
Yeah.
I feel like those situations where we can get together as a group of people and not be on the internet and partake in someone playing an instrument, together is important. And I'm really looking forward to that happening again. It's kind of cathartic, it really, I don't know, it's restorative, at least for
It,
me. I
it,
think for a lot of people though.
in the meantime, there's a relief fund, a New Mexico Musicians Relief Fund. I don't know if you're aware of it. That
I'm not actually.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's through the Music Commission, but the person who runs the Music Commission has organized it, and so people
Cool.
are able to apply for that. And as long as they can show they had gigs canceled, they can get some money from that, as long as people continue to contribute. So
Well, that makes sense. Actually, somebody just hit me up to write a letter regarding one of their canceled gigs just like a couple
there
days
you
ago.
go.
So I
Well,
bet you that's what it was for.
yeah, yeah,
Um, well, yeah, I hope everybody's trying to make the best of it. And, I think Sister Bar is going to continue to try to put, everybody else's, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess safety at the forefront, that we're going to continue to kind of operate and try to stay alive, but we're definitely not going to do anything that I feel, is unethical for, just for money. It's like, we'll figure it out.
yeah. Well, that's good to hear. And so we'll look forward eagerly to the reopening of Sister Bar and other places. And certainly we wish you the best with all the decisions that are coming down the road that you have to make, and hope that you have the right information and can stay safe for you and your family.
Awesome. Well, thank you. It was good talking to you today.
Yeah, yeah. So thanks to our guest, Jesus Zamora, owner of Sister Bar, for joining us. You can connect to every Ethics Now episode on www.ethicsnow.org or on all major podcast platforms. Visit our Ethics Watch Facebook page to suggest topics or guests, or email us at contact@ethicsnowshow@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and see you next time on Ethics Now. Be well.